Okay, good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 12th day of Elul. And don't forget to add the chapters of the Tehillim today. It's chapters 34, 35, 36. And we begin today a new letter in the Igeret Kodesh, letter 14. And this is a letter that the Alter Rebbe wrote again to the Hasidim about raising the funds for the people in the Holy Land, the people that made the Aliyah. And this was a letter that was written about 18 years after the Alter Rebbe established this Kolel Chabad, the fund to support the people. So in the beginning, it was an exciting thing. Everybody was excited to give to this special cause. But as everything that when you get excited about something, as time goes on, the excitement reduces. It doesn't, you need to reinvigorate and renew that excitement. In Torah in general, it says in the Shema we say every morning, "Vayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavacha hayom." Those words, those things that I command you today, our sages tell us that we need to make sure whatever the mitzvahs, the Torah that we study, we should be excited about them every single morning as if Hashem gave it us today. And here, in this letter, the Alter Rebbe writes to encourage the people that they should give with excitement, and also every year they should give with an increase, to give more than they did the years before. And the Alter Rebbe explains why. And as usual, he always goes to the depth of the things. And he explains that this is the way Hashem works. That Hashem, God, works every year. He brings a new energy and a greater energy every year on Rosh Hashanah. And we're going to talk about this a little bit. And, and in this letter, the Alter Rebbe explains a little bit about the deeper meaning of Rosh Hashanah. That every year we celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Why do we celebrate Rosh Hashanah? Why is it on this day? What exactly happens on this day? So this is what we're going to go into. So we'll start reading inside, and then we'll give some more explanations. So the Alter Rebbe, Le'oirer es ha'ahava ha'yeshana v'chibas eretz HaKodesh. This letter is written to arouse the old love and fondness for the Holy Land. Liyos by eres berish kerishpei eish mikerev ish velev amek, so that it burned like fiery flames from the inwardness of man and from the depth of his heart. Keilu hayoim mamesh nosan Hashem ruchay aleinu ruach nediva. As if this very day, God had set his spirit upon us, the spirit of generosity. Beisnadev lemalois yodam laHashem beyad veleya urechava. So that people volunteer to consecrate themselves to God with a full and generous hand. Beribui acharibui midei shana b'shana, with one increase after another, from year to year. You should constantly, every year that you give, shouldn't be the same as last year, should be with an increase. Oilech ve'oile lemaila roish, continually rising and excelling themselves, Midas Kodesh Elyon, in keeping with the measure of the level of divinity called Kodesh HaElyon, the supreme holiness. So that is another name for the attribute of Chachma. Chachma is the wisdom, the beginning of everything, and that is the godliness that is revealed through the Chachma. Says the Alter Rebbe that this is just like the Chachma, which from there it comes and shines into the land. Every year, as is going to explain soon, it becomes stronger and stronger. So too, we should increase our giving every year more and more. I remember every year in 770, they used to sell at the beginning of the year the mitzvahs, and there were some people that will buy every year the same mitzvah, whether it's maftir, whether it's hagba, glila, lifting the Torah, opening the ark, or whatever it was. So they would say an amount, and they would add behoy safa, and with addition. So it doesn't matter how much you had, but you should, when you give, you should give with an addition, constantly increase. So the Alter Rebbe says that this Kodesh Elyon, this Chachma, Ameir le'eretz HaKodesh, Amischadesh Misrabe Botamid, which radiates to the Holy Land and is constantly renewed qualitatively and increased quantitatively, both in quality and quantity. And the Rebbe says, Kedichsiv, as it says in the Torah, Tamid Einei Hashem Eleikecha Bo Merishis Hashana Vadachis Shana. As it is written, forever the eyes of the Lord, your God, is upon it, upon the land of Israel, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. This is something the Rebbe always repeats, what the Torah says about the Holy Land, that Hashem constantly, the eyes of Hashem is always in Eretz Israel, in the Holy Land. And the Rebbe explains how the land of Israel is the safest place, and the blessing is there. The Hashem blesses Israel, and from the land of Israel, everything else, the rest of the world is blessed. The land of Israel is the center of everything. That's where Hashem puts his blessing. That is why the Holy Temple is in Israel. That this is where Hashem placed his blessing, and from there it comes to the rest of the world. What the Alter Rebbe focuses here is that what we see, the way the Torah says, that the eyes of Hashem alludes to the Chachma, the wisdom. The eyes of Hashem is in the land constantly, from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. So this is something we want to elaborate a little bit. So number one, when you're talking about the year, what is a year? So you have different periods, different times, you have a month, you have a week, you have a day, you have a year. What makes a year? So a year, you could say, even scientifically also, you have 4 seasons makes a year. What makes a month? So really, in the secular month does not have anything that defines a month. You're talking about the Jewish month. The Jewish month follows the moon from When there's a new moon, there's a new month. What makes a week? A week really doesn't have any physical, scientific explanation why a week is 7 days. The only thing what a week is a spiritual thing. The way Hashem created the world. Hashem created the world in 6 days and 7 days he rested, and that spiritually every week it repeats itself in a certain extent. Now, but the year, they have the 4 seasons, as we said. This is the solar year. The lunar year, we try to keep up with the solar year. But when exactly is the beginning of the year? If you have the 4 seasons, any day in the year, it's like a circle. Any point, if you want to say where does the circle begin? You can point a random place and say, okay, I'm going to start from here. When I get back to this day, as a year has passed. But is there a meaning to this? Here, in the Torah says, God's eyes is in the land of Israel constantly, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So the Alter Rebbe here asks, the question, the way the Alter Rebbe puts it, is if Hashem says, if the Torah says God's eyes is there constantly, then everything is said already. God's eyes is there always, all the time. Why does he have to add in the beginning of the year to the end of the year? That from the beginning of the year, if it's constantly, then it's forever. So this Alter Rebbe's explanation about what happens on Rosh Hashanah also answers our question. Why it's Rosh Hashanah, the day that we celebrate Rosh Hashanah? What happened on Rosh Hashanah that it makes it a new year? January 1st, for example, is a random day. It could be any day decide that this day is a new year. What happened in Rosh Hashanah? The world was not created in Rosh Hashanah. The world was created 5 days, 6 days before. And the Alter Rebbe is going to explain. We're going to more elaborate on it tomorrow more. But basically the point is that when God created the world, he created the world with a 1-year plan, a 1 year at a time. And when the year passes, we need to renew, to ask Hashem, to renew the lease, to bring more again, and the desire in Hashem, the desire in God, to bring a new year, and a new life, a new energy. And that's exactly what Hashem does. When we accept Hashem as King, and when we sound the shofar, that brings out the desire in Hashem to give us a new life. And every year when Hashem gives a new energy to the world, which happens on Rosh Hashanah, which was the day that Adam was created, and he was the purpose of creation. The purpose of creation being to get the whole world to bow down and to recognize Hashem's kingship. As it says, Bo nishtachave v'nechra nivacha lefnei Hashem Oseinu. Let us gather, let us bow down, let us kneel, and let us bow in front of Hashem, our Maker. So that's what happens on Rosh Hashanah. And therefore, says the Alter Rebbe, because this is something that every year it comes again, not only, it's not just that it comes again, but it comes a greater level of energy that never was in this world. So as we get ready to Rosh Hashanah now, 5783 is going to be a new year. with new energy, with something that greater and more that was never existed in this world. And therefore, says the Alter Rebbe, this is why the tzedakah that one gives, which is true to any mitzvah that we do, should always be with a constantly increasing, constantly looking to make better and better. So we're like going around and around every year. There are all the holidays, but we are like on a spiral staircase. Every year we're going around, getting back to Rosh Hashanah, but we're in one step higher and higher and higher. So let's continue what the Alter Rebbe says here. So that's what the Alter Rebbe says. The Torah says, "Tamid eini Hashem aleikecha ba, nereishis hashana v'dachis shana." That forever the eyes of the Lord, your God, is upon it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Says the Alter Rebbe, the eye ve'ad achis ein emurin l'chayra. Now this phrase, to the end, appears to be problematic. Sharei, why? Be'achis shana zu matchela shana shniya. Because at the end of one year begins another year. Thus, it should surely have said, the eyes of God are upon the land of Israel everlastingly, continuously. Why does it say from beginning of the year to the end of the year? So Alter Rebbe explains, however, this matter will be understood by considering the verse, God by Chachma established the earth. And he explains, what is the earth? The earth, it says there is the Artzot HaChaim, the lands of life. There is the upper land and the lower land. The upper land is the Malchus of Atzilus, and the lower land is this world, which starts in the land of Eretz Israel, the land of Israel. So it says, "Sheyesoid ha'aretz ha'elyono hi bechinas malach halalmin." That's the foundation of Eretz ha'elyono, literally the higher earth or the higher land, meaning the heavenly model of the terrestrial Holy Land, which is the mode of creative divine influence, which is immanent and therefore called Memale Kol Almin, literally filling all worlds. So this is the Holy Land, the world of Atzilus, Malchus of Atzilus. V'atachtoina, and likewise the foundation of the Netherland, the lower land, He Eretz Chayfetz, which is the land of Israel, which is known as Eretz Chayfetz, the land of God's desire. HaMechuvenes Kenegda Mamesh, which truly corresponds to the heavenly counterpart, the Eretz Ha'elyono. V'nikris al Shma Eretz HaChaim, and it is called by its name Eretz HaChaim, the land of life. So this, now the foundation of the higher and the lower lands issues from the downward flow and radiance from the supreme Chachma, which is the source of the supernal life. As it is written, Chachma animates those who possess it. So the Chachma is the source of life. And this is the life that from the Chachma goes into the level of Atzilus, which is the level of the land, which is the Holy Land. That's the beginning of Hashem's shining. The energy is in the land of Israel. Says the Alter Rebbe that this light that Hashem gives, every year Hashem renews that light. This radiance and the flux from the supreme Chachma that radiates the land at both levels is renewed annually by a truly new light. Kihu Yisbarech, and Alter Rebbe explains because it keeps constantly going higher and higher and higher because Hashem is limitless. Kihu Yisbarech v'chachmasai echad v'tachlis hayichud. For God, blessed be He, and His Chachma are one in an absolute unity. V'nikra b'shem Oir Ein Sof Baruch Hu. And this is called the infinite Ein Sof light. That the light is infinite. She'ein soif ve'ein keit l'maylas u'gedulas ha'oyer v'achayus ha'nimshach mimenu yisborech u'mechachmasei. Because there is no limit nor end to the quality and greatness of the light and vitality that issues forth from Him and from His Chachma. Ve'ilu yachar ilui ad ein keitz v'sachlis. It goes in elevation upon elevation to no end or limit. L'ruma mailas l'mayla mayla, to the peak of the loftiest levels. So this is what Alter Rebbe says. Understanding the depth of what it means that in Kedusha we constantly go up higher and higher, stronger and stronger. There is no limit. And that's why life is not boring. When you wake up in the morning and you say, Rabbi, every day I have to do the same routine. I wake up, I go to shul, I put in tefillin, I put this, I do that. If you look at it as a routine, as something that you constantly repeat, it can get very boring. But when you understand that life is a constant up spiral staircase, you constantly keep going up and up and up and up. So is the thing that you do every day, the things that you do every week, the thing that you do every year, it's always in a way that you constantly go up higher and higher. And the Neshama gains more strength, more connection with Hashem. And that is why, although it says our generation is a very low generation compared to the previous generations. Previous generations were very holy, lofty people. We are in the spiritually so much less than the previous generation, and yet we are the ones who Mashiach is going to come to. Mashiach is about the ultimate revelation of godliness in this world, and we are the ones to merit that, and that is because we are standing on the shoulders of our previous generations. As the saying goes, like a midget stands on the shoulder of a giant. Who is taller? Who sees further? The giant or the midget? The midget sees further because he's higher, because he's standing on the shoulders, and that's what we're doing every single day. We gain more and more strength, we're going higher and higher, and that is why everything what we do should be constantly with looking upwards, to do within an increased measure. Doesn't matter how much, but the increase should constantly grow. But this is the end of today's shir, and we shall continue tomorrow. Very interesting lesson about what really happened on Rosh Hashanah. So, thank you for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem, 9:30.